In my last video, I built a very intricate composite oven. With that, I'm gonna take on the challenge of making the entire body of my C10 out of carbon fiber. While I'm very excited to start using all my carbon fiber supplies, I've also just received something from Tik Performance that I'm equally, if not more excited to share with you. Today I have a very cool surprise for you guys, and not only will it allow me to finish up my cab, it's also gonna elevate this build to yet another new level. Let's check it out. Check this thing out. I am so excited to have this in my shop. If you're a car guy, you know exactly what this is. And if you don't, well, it's a T56 Magnum. It's basically the best 6-speed manual transmission you can buy. And not only is this a regular old T56 Magnum, it's a Tik Performance road race transmission. So there's a lot of cool features and upgrades in this transmission, and we're gonna go over them in just a minute. But guys, we've got a 6-speed manual transmission for the 68 C10. If that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. And this 68 C10 deserves the 6-speed manual. I couldn't throw an automatic in there. This transmission in its factory form packs a massive punch. Rated at 700 foot-pounds of torque right out of the box, it is a very stout unit. And Tik Performance have made improvements to the original design, and the first one being this billet front plate. So the biggest thing that this billet front plate provides is increased rigidity. And what that helps with is two things. The first one being less wear over time, since everything is not flexing as much. And the second thing is improved gear mesh. When everything is not flexing, you have better engagement with the gears, and it just helps overall. And aside from providing some massive benefits, it also looks very cool. It's a shame that this is going to be hidden behind the bell housing, but it is what it is. The front plate also provides a mechanical oil pump, and normally a lot of the guys run an electric oil pump. The big advantage of having a mechanical oil pump is that it spins up and provides more pressure when you're higher up in the RPMs. So when you're driving this thing hard, it'll just lubricate even more. Along with a built-in oil pump, it also has an improved sprayer system. And with Tik Performance's massive amounts of knowledge about these transmissions, they've seen time and time again that the second, third, and fourth gear on road racing cars have burnt up. So that is far from ideal, and what Tik Performance has done is they've improved the sprayer system so that it evenly coats the second, third, and fourth gear in oil at all times. Even if you're on a road course taking hard turns, it doesn't matter how hard you drive your car, it is always gonna get the lubrication it needs. I can't wait to put it to use. This truck will see some turns. Moving to the back of the transmission, we have the Tik Performance billet revolver lock shifter. And not only does it look super cool, it is jam-packed with cool features. And one of its coolest features is actually the amount of adjustability it provides. With its cool design, you can actually clock your shifter in 8 different positions all the way around so that you can have the maximum amount of comfort and adjustability for your application. And not only can you clock this in any direction, there's actually 3 different lengths of arms, so you can extend it out further or even have it closer to the center of your shifter. This shifter also offers a 15% reduction in throw compared to the factory Tremec shifter. You can also spin this shifter 180 degrees to provide even more adjustability, which I think is probably what I'll have to do in my truck since my engine is so far backwards. Tik Performance also sent me the original shifter to the transmission, but I'm obviously not going to use it. And they've also sent all the oil required to fill this thing up. But in today's video, I'm not going to fill up the transmission with oil, and I'm also not going to set up a clutch or a flywheel on the engine, as this is just going to be the mock-up stage, and once I have it installed, I'll be able to finish up my transmission tunnel. So that's the plan for today's episode. Now that you guys are up to speed with the new transmission, it's time to make some actual progress on the truck. The first thing I want to do is yank the engine out so that we can start mounting the transmission to it. If you were wondering how I was going to connect my transmission to my engine, well, Holly hooked me up with a QuickTime Performance SFI certified bell housing. This is a very hefty bell housing, and it is designed to keep my legs and feet safe in the event that the clutch would explode. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but when you're dealing with high horsepower engines, you always want to be as safe as possible. And with that being said, let's start mounting the bell housing on the transmission, and then we'll connect it to the engine. So, as you guys just saw in the last clip, I've got some clearance issues with my bell housing bolting up to my transmission. There's a little spot on the bell housing that's hitting the oil pump on Tik Performance's billet front plate. So I called up Tik Performance and they reassured me that you have to clearance the bell housings before you can bolt it up to their billet front plate. So it's a really minor issue. I just wanted to make sure before I started cutting up a brand new $1,000 bell housing. So now I'm going to mark exactly where I need to cut, and then I'll probably use a grinder to take out the bigger chunks. Then I'll use a die grinder to finish off the job properly. transmission is in, and I've just set up my Corbeau racing seat so that I can adjust my shifter to where it's comfortable. So this is really where the Tik Performance revolver lock shifter shines. It's perfect for projects like this. So I set the transmission exactly where it's going to be when it's installed properly. I'm going to start from scratch with some foam board, and I'm going to make a new transmission tunnel. And once I have my pattern, I'll just cut it out of metal, and then we'll be good to go. So this is pretty much what I came up with for my transmission tunnel, and I'm all gonna make this out of metal and then smooth it out with body filler to make it nice and clean. And then once everything's said and done, this is all gonna be made out of carbon fiber. So there's nothing that says I can't add on to it as I go. I'm sure I'll come up with some cool ideas that I can implement and kind of add details that's just gonna elevate this whole interior. So now that the tunnel is pretty much roughed out, I'm gonna disassemble the truck completely, take the cab off the frame, and then I'll be able to work on the cab and finish up some things without worrying of scratching anything. So it's gonna be a lot easier. And then once it's cleared in here, I'm gonna move the frame over to the other side of my shop, and then I'll have a lot of room to make all my molds. And it's gonna be an all-out carbon fiber shop in here for quite some time, because there will be a lot of work to do. So let's get to the disassembly. I'll do a time lapse of that, and then we'll catch up in a minute. the chassis, transmission, and engine are all on the other side of my shop, which is a complete disaster. I'm gonna have to deal with this very soon, and I'll have to set up this hoist that I have, which will be very nice. But right now, this is just out of the way so that I can do all the messy, dirty work in this part of the shop where I have my carbon fiber oven. So a while back, I had made this transmission cross member from scratch with some pretty basic tools, and I had never welded it up since I didn't really know exactly how it was going to work with the transmission that I was going to get. So now that I have the actual transmission, I welded everything up because it is going to work perfectly. All I have to do now is drill some holes in the frame and then bolt it up. So that looks really good. I'm very impressed with how it turned out, and all the little triangles that I cut out with the plasma cutter just add some really cool details. It's all stuff I'm not going to be able to see once everything is assembled, but it's stuff I can be proud of and I'll know it's there. So the shop feels quite empty right now without the chassis in here, and what that's going to allow me to do is really focus in on the cab, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of work to make this cab out of carbon fiber. I can't even imagine it so far. I have somewhat of a plan on how to make the molds, but this is a massive undertaking. Who knows how it's going to turn out, so it's going to be quite interesting. But right now, I have a transmission tunnel to finish up, and the first thing I have to do is weld everything up properly. So the tunnel turned out pretty good, and now it's time to shape it with some body filler and get it prepped for a mold. And what I'm thinking with the floor is making a one-piece mold for the entire floor, and I'm not sure if it's going to be easier getting the mold from up top here or from the underside. So that's going to be something we'll have to decide and weigh out the pros and cons. But if I can pull this off, it'll put this truck in a class of its own. I just want to say a huge thank you to Tik Performance for hooking me up with their road race transmission. I can't wait to try it out. It's going to be super exciting getting that first gear shift in, and I know it's going to work absolutely great. So we've got lots of work to get to that point, so I'm going to end it off in this video. I'm going to get right back to work and get another video out for you guys as soon as possible. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Holy